Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our second webinar of today. It is the one now for sales professionals and managers. Thank you all again. If you had your team attend our webinar this morning with Chris Peterson, I'm sure you all found his take on things quite valuable. Today, one of the things we're going to be talking about is the sales tool. One of the questions, I guess, that we get a lot is, how do we generate the interest? If my sales team doesn't feel comfortable going out and kind of preaching the gospel to their clients, what can we give them to make that process smoother and easier and more comfortable? So today we're going to show you just a few examples of what we've done for some of our other dealers and what that 411 program we've been talking about really entails and how we go about generating the interest. And then once you have a customer that is interested, what do you do with them and how do you price things out and how does all of that work? So I'm going to just briefly go through each of these tools. These are all available to you. And there's no charge to taking advantage of this program. You can see that this example is from one of our dealers in New England, Advanced Technology. This is just one of the email blasts that we created for them. And basically what this is the first piece of the 411 program that you would want to send out to your clients. This piece is an introduction. It's just saying that we are introducing something new. This is what it means to you. This is why this matters. And once you just start getting that seed planted a little bit about there's some way I can be more efficient with my security. There was something I could do to better protect myself and my property. Once you start planting that seed, then it's time to continue watering it. It's time to continue letting that seed be nurtured and grow in an environment where it's conducive to everybody really understanding this message you're trying to get across to them. One of the biggest challenges is one of the same opportunities, and some of you may have heard me say that multiple times, but the fact that these services, I should say, are so new to the end user customer base, it puts us in a unique position because we get to be the leaders. We get to show them this is what's new. We get to educate them. We get to stand out because we're some of the few that have this in our portfolio, let alone being prepared and having these kinds of resources to really educate them on what these services are capable of. The reason why that can be a little bit of a challenge at the same time is because if your salespeople have been very used to doing, if we've all been used to selling the same kind of thing for a while, you get into a comfort zone, your customers call and they ask for one thing and now you're being asked to turn around and sell them something a little different than what they asked for. It's challenging, right? But here's the thing is your clients will buy what you really sell. And we just have to present it in a way where they can see the reason this is a good solution for them. So the email blast is very basic. You can see it has the Advanced Technology logo in the corner, so this is where your logo would be. We would modify the date, obviously according to when we send this out for you. We could do it as early as next month, start it the first week of March. Then it's just this little introduction of we now have some new services, and these are just some bullet point benefits that they get from them. And then all the contact information comes, again, from you guys. And when they reply, if they choose to reply, they would reply to you. It would not be my email address here. It would be one of yours. So it's very much your branding, your communication piece to the client to get it started. The second thing that we typically send out is this email blast here. It's a little bit different. But it's talking about more specifically virtual guarding. The purpose of virtual guarding, the benefits of virtual guarding, and how it works is, I think, a great conversation starter, and it opens up the door to just thinking outside the box. So we typically, of the services we offer, we typically try to work with the virtual guarding services first, and then sort of fill in with the, oh yeah, hosted and managed access, oh yeah, hosted video, sort of after that. But this one is sort of a did you know that this can benefit you in this way? And just how does it work? It just very, very basically describes how these things work and how it can benefit them from a technology and security standpoint. Now, I know you can't read all this on the screen, so I'd be happy to send any of these drafts over to you for you guys to start reviewing on your own time. Make any changes you want, okay? These are things that we have in the can that we can send to you and, you know, have you review. And sometimes we've had different customers have different flavors. Sometimes they want to add, you know, pictures of their sales staff. Sometimes they want to add, you know, something unique, you know, to their email blast, and that's fine. All of this is very much customizable. The main thing is that we need something. We need something to start initiating this conversation between you and your client. I'll tell you that several of our dealers who have used this have gotten leads and sales because of it. So what will happen is you'll send these out, you'll get a couple phone calls, and the main thing is who's going to be assigned to taking those calls and making sure that they know that elevator pitch, they know what it was that went out that day, so that way when that opportunity comes to start talking to clients, they can go ahead and have that conversation and answering questions that they might get. So those are a couple of the emails. Now the next thing after we've sort of initiated the interest is, you know, we have 4 emails per month. That's part of the 4 of the 411, 1 webinar per month, and 1 snail mail piece per month. So let me show you an example of what the webinars look like here and how that would come across to your customers. So give me just a moment to pull that up. Okay, so this email here is an example of a recorded webinar. So after we actually performed the webinar, we recorded it on behalf of our dealer. We hosted it, we put it on their website, and sent a link out to the people that are in their mailing list saying, here's a link to the webinar. Now, here's the main thing, guys, is when you're taking the webinars, think about how to get the audience you want. The webinar itself that we did for the first time is very similar to that initial email, where it's introductory, educational about sort of these new security trends. These are new services available. This is what technology is allowing us to do. This is sort of the new way of doing things. And so approaching that webinar and not so much of a, hey, see what new products we have available, but more along the lines of these are some of the things that we're working on to really encourage a policy, a program, a true security program that's in place to protect you. And once they start seeing it for the value of the knowledge that they gain and the value of the, you know, just enhancements that they can take and just knowing where they stand. Once we finished this particular webinar, they had 4 leads come in. They had 40 end users on the call. Within 30 minutes of us finishing the webinar, they had 4 of those attendees asking for more information. So if you want to think about it percentage-wise, we sent the email invitation to the webinar to 200 people. Of 200 people, 40 people showed up. So what is that, 20%? Okay, so 20% of the people showed up to the webinar, and then 10% of those people have requested more information. And so far, of those 4 people, 2 have already placed purchase orders. So you're looking at, you know, a 5% closure rate, of those webinar attendees. So that's a great number. It really is. It's working. Now, one of the things that this particular integrator did that helped get the audience up on the webinar was they gave away a freebie, a prize. They gave away actually an iPad. Now, you don't have to give away a $500 prize every time you do a webinar. However, it's worth doing something like that. It's worth spending $100, getting somebody, a little mini iPod or something like that, giving them something if you can give away a prize, because it definitely works, okay? So this is just an example. Now, the webinar itself, we will handle, okay? If you have a PowerPoint template, like in this case, this was their PowerPoint template. All I simply did is I put my content on there. I put the video clips. I drove it. So we will do that same thing for you. We will initiate an email blast. We will initiate the webinar. We'll create the link. We'll get everything scheduled and set up. We'll work on the PowerPoint together, make sure that what you want to communicate is incorporated into the presentation. And then after the the mailings and all that stuff goes out promoting it, we will have a test run, and then we'll actually launch it live. We'll record it for you. We'll send you the recording so you can host it on YouTube or wherever you want to put it. And then after we've done all of that, you'll be in a great position to take it and then send it out to anyone who missed that presentation as well. So what's great is, talking about sales tools, you can now have this webinar either on your website, or you can download it, save it to your laptop, and if you're ever talking with a new client, take 20 minutes and just hit play. Let them hear that message and see the demonstration. It's already recorded in there for you. You don't even need to repeat that actual conversation. You can just defer to the recording entirely. So that's a great tool. If you can just sit down in a conference room with them and get your laptop running and turn on that video clip, you're gonna be able to sell them right away. Okay, so that's that piece. Now the last piece of the 411 is a snail mail piece. So I do feel that snail mail is one of those things that's starting to kind of make a comeback. For a while, I mean, poor post office is completely underwater right now, but the the email thing, everybody's getting so much junk mail now. So the main thing is we want to make sure that we're providing value with every email we send. We're not just sending something salesy that they don't want to hear, that they're going to ignore and opt out of our email campaign. We always want it to be educational, to the point, something that matters. And similarly, to back it up with a snail mail piece. So that way, we're hitting them in multiple places. I don't think we have to mail them something every week, but simply having a, sorry, I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. Simply having a snail mail piece go out each week or each month, it just keeps you in front of them. It makes sure that if they're ignoring your emails, they're going to see you somewhere else. So this is a piece that you can use. I'm just going to try to find an example with ATI here. Hold on just a second. I'll just use this one. This is a trifold brochure that we created for another one of our dealers. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Basically, this is something that, again, we'll just swap your logo out, put your logo in, swap your name out, put your name in. Basically, it's got, information about why your integration firm is the right company for them. And all of this, again, can be customized. If you have specific language, if you have a mission statement, if you have any real branding that you want to tie to any of these materials I'm showing you, we can incorporate all of that in here. The main thing is that you need to have tools that talk about this stuff too. So whether it's taking some of our content and applying it to stuff you already have, or taking stuff you already have and making sure we incorporate it into the stuff we create for you, it doesn't much matter to us which way. The main thing is that you need to have some tools. So this is a great little piece that you can print up, you can send in the mail. Instead of having this stuff here, what you could do is, we've done this for a couple of our dealers where we changed this to looking like an envelope. So we put their return address here, we put the to address here, and a stamp area here, and then basically they just seal it up and put a stamp on it and send them off to their client. So that's something very easy to do. On the inside of this trifold brochure, it goes into the features of virtual guarding, and it speaks to, you know, the different ways that we monitor in a virtual guarding setting. Now, this is just one of the pieces. We also have a variety of others that talk about different elements of what we do. So let me see if I can find you another example here. Here we go. Here's another one. Okay, so this is just an example of another piece that has, you know, similar information, but in this case it's talking a little bit more historically about the evolution of security. It's talking about general managed security services, not just virtual guarding. So in this case we touch on mobile video or hosted video, professional video monitoring, and then hosted access control. And just what are the benefits, why does this matter? So these, you know, we just have, you know, 4 or 5 different flavors of these things already that we can, you know, again, just stick in the mail and get in front of your customers to get them started. If you have any kind of promotions that you like to run, you know, if you want to have something that says, you know, free estimate, or, you know, call us and get your free estimate by this day and save X%, we can put a call to action on any of these things as well. That has been very successful. So while we have sort of the backbone structure of how these things work and how beneficial they are, the main thing is that we want it to tie into your company. It needs to be something that you guys feel comfortable selling, that you guys feel this, you know, really expresses what you're trying to sell and what you're trying to communicate to your customers. So this is just a few examples. Now, if you're ready and if you want to do a March rollout, basically what I need to get from you guys by the end of this month is your logo in a high-res format, as well as any kind of, you know, mailing list that you have. So some of our clients with the email, they send us just a spreadsheet that has name, title, company, and email address. Some of them only have email. I guess there's different systems, different CRMs, different, you know, programs that people keep different contacts in. The only thing I really need, if you want us to send emails out on your behalf, is the email address. However, the more information you can give me up front, the better the reports are. Because after we send out an email, what we'll do is send you the report that says who read it, who clicked on the link, and the more information we have in there, it can become your call list. If you can see that, oh, this is Joe Blow from, you know, ABC company, and this is his phone number, it's all on that single report, again, just saves you time going back and finding the contact info and trying to reach out to those guys. But what it does, in addition to getting, you know, these seeds planted in the minds of your customers, is it also gives you a tangible list of things to do, people to call, and prospects that you can go after. Especially the webinars, okay, even if they don't ask for information right after the webinar, once we do a webinar, we ask for all the contact information. You'll also get a report of who attended, who registered, who clicked the link, all that good stuff. And that way you can follow up with all those people. What did you think about what we talked about today? Are any of these things of interest? Is there anything that concerns you about sort of this new way of handling your physical security? and just have that conversation with them one-on-one and get their response, get to know what their feelings are. This will keep you busy. The 411 program, when used properly, will keep you busy, will keep you engaged. Let me show you just one more thing here as far as the sales process, and then we'll dive into some of the pricing. Because I've had a few requests from attendees of our webinars that they wanted to go through the pricing in some detail and see how that comes out. So let me show you just this last. Here we go. So this is an example of a sales manual for one of our dealers. This is just an informative page, this front page. It just tells the sales professional, this is what's in here, this is what you can use, contact us at the bottom if you have any questions. Then it goes into more of the customer focus. So this is where you enter your customer or prospect information, and it walks you through the different steps of qualifying that opportunity. What's their time frame, who makes the decision. This one's important. Why do we ask for the financial stakeholder? If you're going to be quoting project financing at all, which we strongly recommend, especially if you're unfamiliar maybe with selling more service-related or monthly kind of contracts or agreements, selling everything as a monthly payment, having the installation, the equipment, all that stuff bundled in with one monthly payment helps a lot. And it's important you know who makes the financial decisions. And then it goes into your checklist. And each items within this checklist are incorporated in your sales manual. And we're always available to walk you through as you have any questions as you're going through this list and you're like, well, wait, how can I calculate the ROI for this particular customer? Well, there is sort of a bare bones, formula you can utilize. Every case is different. Everybody's incurred different losses, different expenses, and so it's important to get the whole picture into that formula. And we can help you with that. The next process is to start really getting some information from your clients. Who are they concerned about? Is it staff? Is it intruders? Is it, just random passers-by? What are they trying to prevent? So is there situations that keep coming about? Has there been an incident that we're trying to prevent? Is there something that happens frequently that we just want to have a handle on? Things like loitering or something like that, where they just want us to monitor it, be aware of it, and try to, disperse the loiterers as we can. When are people or property at risk? So that is how you can help establish your schedule. Are they closed at 5 and everything is empty at 5:01, or is it a 24/7 operation too? And in that case, how would we handle different areas of the facility? Where in the facility is most vulnerable? So is there a perimeter that we need to protect? Is there certain area of interest, maybe where, certain, goods or valuables are stored? And why are they so concerned? When you get to this question, the why, that is going to help you sell. Because basically when you find out, oh, it's compliance or our insurance is threatening to cut us off because we keep, having to file all of these losses with them for theft or whatever it might be. Is there, other things going on that can help sell this for you? And then the last thing is, how does this impact them? And how much is it costing them? And that also needs to be incorporated. This all helps you with your ROI formula. As you're walking the site, this is the form you would want to use to just get a gauge of what, if any, kind of equipment's already installed. Sometimes there's nothing there, and the main thing to take note of is the lighting conditions and whether or not it's like a controlled environment. Other things to consider, obviously, are if there are cameras or DVRs or anything like that, getting the makes, models, and firmware versions and all those things is important. This is a needs assessment tool which helps you just basically identify, what to quote this particular customer. This left-hand column is incorporating your different benefits or different kind of feature sets, I guess you could say, that they might be looking for. And when you know, okay, they're looking for this, they're looking for this, they're looking for this, then you can go down this list and see, okay, well, which of these are available with remote guarding versus your basic monitoring, or which of these is available with managed access instead of traditional access control. And we'll help you learn, when you get your first opportunity, we'll walk you through all of that. These are just a few sales pieces that you can use with particular types of clients. So this one is for outdoor assets, which is probably, I'd say, 60 or 70% of our business comes from situations where it's unmanned facilities or outdoor areas overnight and on weekends. Building materials, roofing supplies, solar farms, dealerships. These are all great examples of things that we monitor today. Property management is another big one for managed services. Specifically, managed access is a huge thing to sell to property managers. They hate having to go out and, go site to site and add and delete users for each of their tenants all the time. It costs them a lot of time, which is money. So if you can show them how their facility managers can be, maybe they don't have to report as much overtime, or maybe there's an efficiency level there where instead of having to go from place to place to place to handle everything, it can all be done at one central location, or it can even be done by you or by us. They can spend that time doing something that matters more to the building owner. And at the end, we just have some pieces that talk a little bit about how security has sort of evolved to more of this hosted and managed model, and what benefits you get from hosted and managed that you don't get from on-site, or versus what are some of the things you are costing you for an on-site model as compared to a hosted or managed model. And then this last piece does the same for video, talking a little bit about hosted or managed video. Okay, so that is your sales manual. Now let's dive into the price book really quickly, just to give you all a feel for how this works. And let me zoom in just a little. I know I've got kind of a different resolution here, so I want to make sure you guys can read what I'm showing you. Okay, so starting off with the hosted tab, you'll see that we have basically a spreadsheet here, and there's 4 tabs. One tab is for hosted, one tab is for managed, and then the last 2 are for calculating all of your totals and creating your purchase order and things like that. So let's start with the hosted section here. Anything hosted is just when it's server-based, and that's it, or excuse me, it's a server hosted in the cloud somewhere, and that's all you're providing them. We're not managing the access control database. All we're simply doing is hosting that appliance for them. We have hosted video service, and you can see that all of these yellow boxes are what you guys as sales folks would use to input the data to get your pricing. So here, you could say one camera, you could add another camera, and then you could say, so for 14 gigs, I need this camera to hold a little bit more data than the others. And then I'm going to select my frame rate and resolution. And then it calculates your cost here and your totals here. We have 2 solutions for access control. This particular price book is for the Brevo line. We have a separate one for AMAG, but it's all very similar. And this is just how you would calculate your hosting fees for Brevo. So this is your connecting fee for your first panel, and this is your additional readers, basically. So if you have, say it's an 8-door application, this one would include your first door. This one here we would change to 7. And now you can see, okay, this is my cost, $49.98. Now, Brevo does have an MSRP, so we list it here so you can see how you can mark things up. And you'll see that on the next tab that we'll be showing in just a moment. And then the bottom here is Brevo also offers hosted video. So if you're doing a hosted access with hosted video, it's cheaper to bundle it all with Brevo than to have one with SecureEye and one with Brevo. So this is just how they price out the hosted video. And you would just have to determine, is it live view, or are we going to do some hosted storage in addition to that? And they do their video storage based on days instead of by data space. So next, I just clicked on the Manage tab. These are what we call our managed services. So this means monitoring or management of some sort. So basically, our G4S monitoring services are all based on events. This is your basic pricing. If somebody calls me and says, hey, can you send me a pricing for video monitoring, I usually copy and paste this and explain that they can select their package. What this tool does for you is it helps you estimate how many events you might have. So the first thing, the first box you're looking at is how many devices are we using to trigger events. So if we're going to be monitoring alarm points, this is what you would enter here. Is how many things would trigger an alarm? Would it be a door contact? Would it be a motion detector? Would it be a camera? Whatever that is, let's just say you have 10 items that can trigger events. Now, if you have a camera that is looking at a door, the door has a door contact and the camera is enabled with motion detection or analytics or something like that, I would count that as one. I would really look at it as a zone almost versus just endpoint, because you wouldn't have one really go off without the other. So now you can see by having just 10, I've got two estimates that come up down at the bottom here. By having 10 points just for alarm monitoring, it's saying I would average anywhere from 50 to 150 events per month. And on the low end, that would be for a controlled environment. So all of our experience tells us that when we have a site that has like an enclosed perimeter or a site that really just is controlled, there shouldn't be anybody just kind of walking through, unannounced, those kinds of things. That would be a controlled environment. If you're looking at something where it's like a public place, it's an outdoor mall, it's somewhere that there's a parking lot, a car dealership where you might expect people to come in and browse or things like that, you would be on the higher side. So it's important to use this calculator, and we stand behind this calculator. If you use this and you quote a customer, and instead of 150 events, you end up at 250 events, we'll guarantee this tool. We won't let you be in a situation where you quoted something, you used our tool, and it didn't work. That's why we have this. Now, if you go from, if the data you entered was inaccurate or something like that, or if somebody's not, like if your client isn't really following the security policy that we put together with them or the scope of work, if they have people consistently arriving early or staying late, that's costing, extra events, some of that stuff we'll need to address, maybe tweaking the schedule, things like that. Now, if you are going to incorporate guard tours with this site, basically what you would want to do is say, okay, we're going to do, you can follow me here in my calculator bar, say there's 30 days in a month, and for each day we want to do, let's say 12 tours per day. Maybe from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. we're going to do hourly tours, something like that. That would be 360 additional events per month. Okay, each tour is one event. So you can see how by adding the number of tours, now our average number of events has changed down here. Okay. The anticipated number of ad hoc services per month, this is something like virtual doorman service. If we're going to be helping, assist people through a gate or a doorway, those are the kinds of things that would fall under sort of the ad hoc services. So they wouldn't be a regular alarm, so they're not calculated, with that initial estimate. it would be something you'd want to just kind of have a buffer, add in a few. So maybe you add 10 or something like that, just to make sure you cover yourself. And now that you can see, okay, we're somewhere between 420 and 520 events, do I want to quote package E or package F? And you'll use your judgment. Your customer will help you make that recommendation. Now, once you've decided what you want to select, you come down here and you say, okay, I'm going to go with package E, and I have 2 sites or 1 site, whatever the number of sites is. This is my monthly fee for that. If you're not using G4S for monitoring, the only time we use MACE for our monitoring is for really kind of that basic stuff, your strict video verification, no live monitoring. Typically, we only do video feed or check video monitoring through MACE. Other than that, it's usually just standard Berg intrusion or fire alarm monitoring. So this is your pricing for that kind of stuff. So you would enter, again, just the fields that they're asking for in yellow. If you're doing video feed and you need some sort of cell service, this is how you can subscribe to that. It can be bundled in with your payment. And that is basically, it's pretty straightforward how that works. Once you've entered all your fields and you go to this next tab, which is your proposal total tab, let me just adjust the scale here again so you guys can see. This is our proposal total. So this helps us think about what are we actually going to quote the customer. Now, we're not an estimating software company. We're not WeSuite. That's not what we pretend to do. But taking this tool to the next step, we wanted to make sure to give you sort of one place to put all of the parts and pieces and bundle everything together. So you know what your total hardware costs are. I'm going to let you enter that. Now, what we're trying to fill in the blank here with the yellow is now the subscriber price. This is the MSRP. This is what you want to quote your customer. So in the total hardware cost, if you typically, are working on something and you take a 30% margin, a 40% margin, you would just do your, it's a $50,000 project divided by 0.6 would be a 40% margin, and that would be your total there. Your labor costs, again, whatever that number is, I'm just going to plug in something kind of round, make it easy. And then if you have a site setup fee here, typically our contracts tend to be 36 or 60 months. However, we go as low as 12 months. So if this is really only applicable if you're doing a short-term contract, just a 12-month contract, where they would have a $50 per site setup fee for you. So this already totaled your cost of $100 because we said on this last tab here that we have 2 sites right here. So it took that 2 times $50, and now you're going to want to mark that up. So if, again, you're at a 40% margin, equals 100. There you go. Sorry. Nope, that was right. Okay. Anyway, so this is what your total cost of the project is. Your upfront, the cost of the system, the cost to install it. This is the project price here, $103,500 is what we're looking at. So this is the amount you would want to get a quote from the financing company if you were going to do a project financing quote. So to turn that into a monthly payment, you would contact Susquehanna, say I have a $103,000 project. Can you just give me, what the monthly payment would be? Now down here is where it takes all of the monthlies and starts totaling them for you. So all the stuff we entered, this is my cost, or your cost, I should say. And now you can start marking it up. So again, you can say, this equals this, and just start using that formula. And it'll start totaling it for you. If you're going to do a maintenance contract, this might be, I'll just say 8% of this price, right? Something like that. And then what you'll want to do is, once you have, this is your total monthly service cost here, and you would want to add this to whatever that cost of the financing is. So once you contact Susquehanna and say, I have a $100,000 deal, what's my monthly payment going to be? Let's just say it's $2,000 for a 36-month contract, or it's $1,500 for a 60-month contract. These are the actual totals you would want to total your, or quote your customer. So that's how this tool works. Now, it just helps you get to that monthly number, and we will be there to work with you. This will get more comfortable. We've had a couple of dealers actually take this. Let me see if I have one open. I do. One of my dealers took ours and tweaked it a little bit and turned it into one that's just their quote. What are they quoting the customer? And so that way their salespeople didn't have to go back and do the math of doing the markups and the margins and things like that. So I can assist you in tweaking this tool if you feel this is better for you or your team. It just makes it a little bit easier on that end. But going back to the one that we have sort of in the can, the last tab is the purchase order tab. And this is what you'll submit when you have a site ready to come online. Now, we should already have a dealer agreement signed between your company and integrator support. But after you have that dealer agreement, everything you bring online, all you have to do is submit a purchase order. So we have this form is a great way to do it, or you can do it on our website. It's really easy. Just select, under the For Dealers section, select Submit a Purchase Order. It'll ask you the same list of questions, and you can submit it electronically that way. But a lot of people like this because it takes everything in the booklet we already established. So if there's any errors in my spreadsheet, that's on me, versus it being on you guys for entering the wrong number. It took all of the fields we entered, and it automatically populated it into this purchase order. The only thing you have to submit is the date of the PO, the date when we're expected to go live, your contact information, and your client's contact information. If it's a virtual guarding opportunity, those projects, we have some additional site setup paperwork that we will work with you on. So let me see if I have any of these open. Yeah, here we go. This is an example of a PDF that you could start filling in the system information, and you can just save as and then send it over to us. It's really easy. And similarly here, this is the schedules and, just a couple things like that. So the virtual guarding stuff does get a bit more in-depth, but once we have the purchase order and these forms, we're ready to go. So that's really what we wanted to show you guys today is what are the sales tools and how do you take a customer, generate the leads, generate the prospects, take them through that sales process using that sales manual to ask the right questions. Once you get those questions answered, how do we start pricing out a system? And once we price out a system, how do we submit it and turn it in? And that's how you do it. So I hope you guys found today's session valuable. I apologize. I know we went about 15 minutes over. But if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email or give us a call, and we will be available to you. So thanks again for your time today. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.